this is Lavinia at Cross Keys Crafts. Today I got some of my Lavinia stamps out, mainly because I've only just last week managed to archive or curate my whole collection. And because some of them were lying around, I had never put them in my folders. And I came across a few stamps that I haven't used yet, which is really, really bad. So I thought, no, I'm picking 2 of these stamps mixed with some others I have used before and create 2 cards. And there will be a similar technique to the 2 cards, but it will be slightly different from one card to another. That's why I decided to show you 2. And I am using some watercolor cardstock. It's not necessarily important that you have watercolor cardstock, but you need a cardstock that has got a weight to it that can hold watercolor. The usual 300 GSM that I use from UK Crafts, that, for example, would work as well. The first piece I have is this Tim Holtz Distress watercolor cardstock. It just comes as a pack of 20, pardon me. Sorry, I had to switch the camera off. I had a little cough coming there. Yeah, it's just 20 pieces, and it is an American format. And I actually had to cut it down anyway, because one piece that I had, it had a little bit of a blemish, and I couldn't remove that even with my bone folder. So I thought I'd just cut a square piece. And the other piece I will use for the second card. I got this from the range quite a while ago. I know it's not super duper watercolor cardstock, but it does work, so I'm giving that a try as well. Sometimes the results of your stamping and inking, whatever you do, or not only sometimes, it usually depends on the quality of your cardstock, but I think this technique you'll be okay with any heavyweight cardstock. So for the first card, I have chosen this Cherry Blossom. When this came out, I didn't pay attention to it, but when I went to the shop last time, I saw it and I thought this would be really nice. So, and I decided to create a watercolor effect for the blossoms and then stamp over that with my normal VersaFine Clair. So let me put this aside. This is for the second card. I've already put this in my stamping platform. You don't need a stamping platform, but I think for this motif it would be best if I managed to stamp right over where I have got the flowers. So, and I've chosen two kinds of pink, what's it called, ink, sorry, brain fog. I've got the Distress Oxide Picked Raspberry, and I've also got this little one, and I tested here on the side, on the cutoff, that this is actually water reactive. This, I think, came from either from the Works in a little set or from a Paper Craft Society box, I'm not sure. And one thing I forgot to get out is my little finger dauber. You don't need a finger dauber, you could use like a stencil brush if you have any of those. I've got these little ones. I've also got some Lavinia ones, but the idea is to apply the pink ink just where the blossoms are. So I'm just inking this up. I'm not even sure how juicy that is. I'm just testing it there, and I'm just dabbing this, or try to keep it in the area where the flowers are, which is not too easy. Actually, I have to look from the side here. And I can also use the acetate for reference, but obviously I need to have a look this way around, making sure I'm not missing any. See, there's some little ones. I'm not too worried about going over the branches because I know I will be stamping in a dark colour over that. So I think I've got enough of the bold colour there, and then I want a little bit of the lighter colour. Okay, I'm testing it. Yeah, that's very juicy. I could, to be honest, I could just go all over the stamp, and I might just actually do that to make sure I haven't missed anything. But because this is an oxide, it might resist the VersaFine Clair a little bit later. So, and when I have done that, I'm going to stamp this. I think you could spritz it now and stamp with that, but I think I will actually stamp this first and then spritz my paper. Have a look how that goes. Yeah, I could do with a little bit more ink at the bottom there. Just using the remainder there. Oh, and I've forgotten the flower there as well. I haven't got any ink on that. Sorry if I'm going a bit off camera there. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. So I've now got my water bottle here, but I really just want to mist this just to move the colour a little bit. And I put my hand here so that I'm not wetting my whole desk. And I'm leaving that to sit for a few moments. Let me zoom in a little bit. So you might, hoping it's focusing, so you might be able to see what's happening. If I find there is a little blob there, I can dab this up with some tissue. Otherwise, I'm leaving that to move around a little bit. But even if you find you want a little bit more, but be mindful, once you take it off, I might actually leave the magnets on there. It might bend a little bit and then the ink might go in a direction where you don't want it. Just looking for my other magnets here. So, oops. So, okay, so I think I'll get a tissue just to mop that up here. So, just dabbing around a little bit because I don't want this to bleed too much. And I can see the difference in the colour there as well. I think I want a little bit more movement there. As I said, and I will leave that to dry for a moment and I will set this aside and start with a second card. For the second card, I'd like to use some masking tape. I don't think I've ever used masking tape. I got that in a recent purchase. I can't remember where it's from. I know it wasn't very expensive. That's why I went for it. It's called Dot and Dab. So I thought I'd just get it and give it a try because I've seen Joe Rice use masking tape. Trying to find where the beginning is. So this, by the way, this piece is, I think it's 5.5, nope, it's 5 inches by 5 inches, and the other piece was 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I just went for some square shapes. Obviously you can use any square, and I will just do the width of this tape from the edges. So I should have cut that a little bit shorter. I quickly do this off camera, so I will put it all the way around. So for this card, first of all, I've stuck this down on a piece of paper because I know I will stamp over the edge here and I don't want this to end up on my mat. I have chosen 2 lots of tree stamps. This one is the fairy fir tree, but I will only use the top part here, and then I've got the Christmas tree group. Any tree is fine, any background is fine. I know I want to use the badger and I just want to create a sort of blurry background. So this time I'm going straight to the stamps with my ink pads, and I've chosen the Distress Oxide Mode Lawn and the Lavinia Stamps Olive. I think I'll go for this one for the little tree, but again you could use your daubers and ink them up in, you know, in sections and use both colours on the trees. I don't have a lot of dark greens that are water reactive. What you could use though, I'm just thinking about that, is the Zig markers if you got those. The Kuretake, I could have used those. So, and on the first card I stamped it first and then applied the water. I think this time I will actually apply the water on this now and have a look what happens there. It is a bit wet though, so I'll dab it off just a little bit. And this time, as you can see, I'm using my acrylic block. I'm not using the stamping platform, but I need a bit more ink. And I'm just playing around a little bit today. It's not about precision. So I'm going towards the top here because, as I said, I know this is just the background. Just leaving that to sit for a moment. And obviously, because I've got this water and the water reactive ink, this won't be a precise stamp or image like I get with a VersaFine Clear. This is supposed to be blurry. There you go. Hope the camera picks it up. So, and I'm doing the same with the fir tree. Oh, that's a dark green and quite juicy, that ink. So I'm just cleaning this up a little bit because I don't want that to end up on the card. So I'm just misting it a little bit on the side here. Because what can happen is if you spray, the ink can actually be blown off the image and can end up on your desk. So I didn't want that. So placing this actually sideways, that's easier. And I want this to be over the mask area here and basically frame the image. I'm hoping that the masking tape will hold or withstand the water and it won't seep through, but we'll see. If not, I can always cut it down. Oh, one problem I have here, don't know if you can see that, I didn't apply enough pressure because with a masking tape I've got a bit of a resist there, but I'm just being brave because it's a blurry image anyway. I'm just coming back in and I'm just pressing a little bit harder. I might have to put a mat underneath. See if I can lift it up with the stamp still on it. Yeah. And then I can just squish a little bit more. Yeah, not much better, but it'll do. So I'm doing the same on the other side. Missed it again. Might be too much water, but we'll see. Going a little bit higher just because I don't want this to look too symmetrical. And again, being mindful to press hard enough. I'm actually wriggling it a little bit. Yeah, that's better. So I'm contemplating whether I want to come in there, but no, I'll show you in a moment how we sort of can remedy that a little bit, because I want to make full use of the mask area anyway by doing a little bit of ink blending. But I'm going to leave this to dry now and I'll have a look how far my cherry blossom card has progressed. So my card is still a little bit damp. I'm going to dry that potentially with my hairdryer rather than my heat tool, for the simple reason that my cat's sleeping behind me and he hates anything hairdryer or the heat tool, so I'll go in another room. So you can see it's slightly warped, but I'll try to dry it as smoothly as possible. If you ever find that your cardstock is warped, you can put it through your die cutting machine between a piece of paper, just copy paper, so you don't get any blemishes on the top. So I find the top bit hasn't actually moved as much as I would have liked, but I'll just stick with it. I just go with it because this is supposed to be an experiment. So I'll be back in a moment to show you how we go on. So I have dried my piece. I have put it through my die cutting machine between two pieces of paper, and I still ended up with blemishes here. But I'll show you how we can remedy that afterwards, after all this stamping. And it's still a little bit damp here, but I'm not too worried about that. So I'm putting it back in place where I had it before, which was in the top corner here, because I would like to stamp in the same spot. I need to clean, obviously need to clean my stamp. I'd forgotten that. So just a little bit of water. I shouldn't be really using the baby wipes. I find they always leave a little bit of fluff on the stamps. So I need to make sure this is thoroughly dry. So, and then I'm going to pick a colour. I haven't done that yet for stamping. I think I don't want to stamp it in black. I think I will use the pine cone, which is a dark brown, and I think that would go nicely with the pink. So all I'm doing is, like I normally stamp, I'm going to ink this stamp up thoroughly. I'm just looking that I've got the, is it the right way around? No. Feels all wrong. This is the bottom. Let me get my brain into gear. No, it was right. Sorry about that. I got irritated because there's nothing stamped here, but obviously I didn't ink that up because I didn't need to, because there were no flowers. So I'm just applying a bit more ink. Sometimes I do get these brain fog moments. So I'm now stamping over this, applying good pressure, giving it some time to get into the cardstock. Yeah, there we go. So, and this is the sort of effect you get. So very subtle pink on the flowers. Obviously, maybe I should not have put anything on the leaves there, but I like the subtle look of that. It's a sort of a bit of an experiment. Obviously, if you've got bigger flowers, it might be easier to apply the ink. But yeah, I like this. I'm going to find a sentiment here, or maybe even some text, just to fill this area. I might contemplate to put a little bit of pink just around that area, but I also want to disguise these blemishes, and I'll show you that in a second how to. I have stamped my sentiment here with the birthday wishes from the Heartfelt Verses set, and I used the same pine cone. I think this is really nice. So to disguise the blemishes, I mean, they're almost gone, and I've also got some glitter all over, I think also from the piece of paper I used. But one trick is to use a stencil as an embossing folder. You can obviously use an embossing folder, but I like to keep it all Lavinia today. So I've found this stencil here. I only got a small die cutting machine, so I didn't have the choice to use the wider ones, the bigger ones that are 8 inches wide. And I'm just spritzing the back of my card a little bit with water so that it will take the embossing a little bit better. I've got a silicone mat here. This will go underneath, and the stencil will just go on top. And I will find out what it's called. I think it's a Pebbles one. And I will just put this through my embossing machine. Sorry, my die cutting machine. And with this pattern, it doesn't even matter if it is sort of not aligned, because it's a very random pattern. Just being mindful which way around, because I don't want any more of these blemishes on the cardstock. So find what sandwich you need to use. Maybe could have taken a mat out. I find it gives quite an interesting effect. There you go. I think this is really nice. I think, so you've got a little bit of something there. See if I can use my eraser on that. I think I need to clean my die cutting plate. I know I've got a few bits there from when I did my last die cutting session. But yeah, I think this looks really cool. So I think what I will do though is get my ink blending brush out and introduce a little bit more pink to give it a little bit of a frame. And I'm popping in again. I just noticed I've got an imprint of the birthday wishes and the stamp there from the VersaFine Claire, so I need to clean that up. I don't know if the camera picks it up. I need to clean that up so it doesn't end up on the next project. So I think the reason why this came off on the stencil is I didn't leave it to dry enough. VersaFine Claire stays wet quite a long time, so you need to keep that in mind. So I'm just coming in with my picked raspberry again, and I'm just adding a little bit around the edges. I'm being very mindful that I think this is quite juicy, so I really just want a bit of a hint. Let me just zoom out just a wee bit. So I'm just really just want to go around the edges. Very lightly. Obviously picks up the embossed pattern quite nicely. Oh, by the way, the blemishes I had, they came off quite nicely with my eraser. But as I said, I need to clean my plates, give them a good scrub with a toothbrush, I think. So again, I should have been mindful to make sure this is dry before I go over that, because I don't want to smear that. And by coming in with the pink here, I'm disguising this a little bit, that I've got pink everywhere here, but not at the bottom there on the big branch. Yeah, I've definitely got enough on the brush. Don't need to ink that up again. Just applying a little bit more pressure now. Yeah, and I think this is really nice. I'll have a think if I want to matte this, or whether I give it a bigger frame, because it will go on a 5 7/8 square card. But yeah, I really like the look of that. Very simple, bit of an experiment, but yeah, I enjoy doing that. So I go and get the other card. So with this one, I also want to do a little bit of ink blending, mainly to disguise this here and to sort of get the proper image, because otherwise the masking doesn't really make that much sense. I want to get the square look to this. So again, I need to test this. Yeah, this is a bit lighter. So again, just going around the edges. I might actually come down into the trees here. Don't want to come too far down though, because I still need to stamp the badger, and I don't want him to be green. This might not even be the best colour, but I'll leave it for now. I might introduce another colour in a moment, but I think I'll stamp the badger first. So, as I said, I don't think I've ever used him. There are 2 badgers in the Lavinia selection collection. This is badger 2. And I will definitely stamp him in the VersaFine Black Onyx if I can find it. Bear with me. Yeah, I was just being blind. It was in the usual spot. So again, make sure you've got plenty of ink on your stamp. So, and I just want him to sit bang in the middle. Yeah, I don't want to cut off the feet with the masking, so just going over there. So it actually goes a little bit into the trees there, but that's why I didn't want to come too far down with the green ink blending. And again, giving it a lot of time. There we go. Yeah, I should have masked it a little bit, because I've got the tree stems on the badger there now, but never mind. I could have masked him first and then stemmed. A few ideas, but and also obviously not perfect. I tell you what I'll do. I think I'm going to stamp him on a separate piece, and I'm going to decoupage him on top. So I'm just coming with a green. So if you have something like this, don't worry, rescue it. We can decoupage. So I'm just actually applying lots of green here now, and I'm finding another piece of cardstock which I had left over anyway, somewhere here. Bear with me. Somewhere. Is this one big enough? Yeah. This is just, I think, like a 220 GSM. It's not part of that cardstock. So I shall stamp him again, and then I will fussy cut him. He's an easy shape. I'll do this off camera, and then I will just stick him on. I will make sure I leave him to dry properly, and yeah, but I will wait till I take the masking tape off to show you the reveal. I have fussy cut my badger here. I did it with my nail scissors. I started off with a different kind of scissors, but nail scissors are actually quite good, and try to hold them at an angle where you basically have this one a bit closer to the cardstock, so you cut at the diagonal. And don't worry about cutting a little bit too much in. It's better not to have any white, because I've already stamped this underneath, so wherever I have missed a little bit or cut off too much, I'll have the stamp underneath. But when I place this down, I can see there are some areas here at the feet where I have got some white, and this is really tricky to remedy once you started cutting. So I've just got my black ink blending brush. I haven't even inked this up, and I'm just going onto, sorry about that, going on around the edges here, trying to get a little bit into this. I actually have to put this down on some cardstock without getting onto these areas here, and when I go over that, I can go that 2 different directions, I'm actually covering that. It's only grey, but at least it's not the stark white, so when I stick this down here, it doesn't show. Do a little bit on the tail here as well. I know some crafters, they like to come in with a pen, but I've never really been successful with that. I always find it bleeds a little bit on the cardstock. So I can stick this down now. I just use my magic glue, but I want to show you the reveal actually of the background. I was contemplating introducing another colour or going in a little bit darker, but I think I'll just leave it like this. And I also contemplated whether I wanted a sentiment on here, but I think I'll just leave that for a later date. I'll tell you what I'll do though. I've seen Joe Rice do that. I will just use, again in the other room, my hairdryer to just warm this up a little bit. Yep, cat's still asleep, so I quickly do that in the other room, and hopefully it's still warm enough for me to peel this off. So I've come back as fast as I could, and hopefully can peel this off without the cardstock being damaged. If not, I'll have to wait till the cat's awake or peel it off in the other room. Yeah, it's quite tricky. So, and I've already seen that I've got a bit of a bleed here, but that's okay. So let me do this off camera. Sorry, I can't give you the full, what's it called, the reveal of the masking strip, but I'll do this carefully. I don't want to damage the cardstock. So if you ever find your masking tape doesn't come off, basically heat up the glue, and then it should come off nicely. So here's this panel. So it came off really nicely, that masking tape, and I stuck the badger down, and where I had the 2 spots here at the bottom, I just got my trimmer out. Which way around is it? There. And just chop this off so you can't see that it bled. What happened was the masking tape wasn't low enough, and obviously I stamped with the 2 large fir trees there. So this one will just go on this shopboard 5. It's probably just 5 3/4. Yeah, just over. It's sold as a 6x6, but it's smaller. So that one will just go on there. I was contemplating whether it needs anything else. There is the option then to put a sentiment on here, but I think I'll leave that for a later date. With the other one, I had a look at this. I haven't stuck it down yet because I'm contemplating. I always struggle a little bit with sort of clean and simple-ish cards. I'm wondering whether the white frame is too much. So an idea would be to put some more ink blending in the background, or to even stencil, but I think that might be too busy. So I think again with this one I shall just stick it down. If I had a square die, I would like a big frame on this, but I don't have a square die of that size. I think that could have been nice to have like a frame going across and make this look like a picture frame. I'll have a look. If I have anything, I'll pop a photo at the back. But yeah, I think I'll just leave these 2 cards as they are. And yeah, it was just a little play with, let me just zoom in a little bit. Oops, doesn't zoom. It was just a little play with my stamps that I haven't used yet, a little bit of water and water reactive inks. And yeah, I think these are really cute, and hopefully I could give you a little bit of inspiration on how to use your stamps. Yeah, and if you like these ideas on this video, you might want to give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.